I'm so sorry, I didn't see you.
It's fine. You have flour on your face.
Flour?
Oh my God, is it worse?
Yes,
Great, perfect. I look like I lost a fight with a cupcake.
it suits you.
That is not helpful, sir.
June Park entered Celestine 15 minutes late on purpose. He knew exactly what time it was. His watch was expensive, precise, impossible to ignore. Still, he slowed his steps as he crossed the marble entrance, letting the host greet him twice before responding. Being late was the smallest rebellion he allowed himself these days, a quiet way of saying he was still in control of something. Celestine was everything money could design. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen rain above the dining room. An orchestra played soft classical music near the far wall, the kind that felt expensive even if you didn't know the composer. The air smelled like butter, wine, and careful perfection. Conversations were low and polished, laughter controlled. This was not a place for accidents. June walked forward, eyes already drawn to table 7. Yena Huang sat there exactly as expected. Elegant, composed, beautiful in a way that felt trained. Her dress was tailored, dark and flawless, the kind that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her phone rested lightly in her hand as she scrolled, her expression calm but bored, like someone used to waiting for important men to arrive late. She didn't look up. June should have gone to her. He should have smiled, apologized, taken his seat, and played the role that had been written for him years ago. Then he heard it. A laugh. It didn't belong in Celestine. It came from near the kitchen pass, bright and sudden, full and unguarded. It cut through the music and the murmured conversations like lightning splitting a quiet sky. June stopped walking. The sound hit him before he could think, before he could remind himself where he was or why he was there. He turned toward the kitchen. That was when he saw her. Naomi Carter stood near the pass, balancing 3 plates on one arm like she had done it 1,000 times. She was a black woman in her mid-20s, wearing the standard white shirt and black apron Celestine required. Her natural hair was pulled into a soft puff at the crown of her head. There was a faint smudge on her cheek, flour, maybe powdered sugar, right beneath her left cheekbone. She hadn't noticed it. She was laughing at something Chef Luke had said from the other side of the window, her whole face lit with real joy. Not polite laughter. Not strategic laughter. Real laughter that reached her eyes and changed her entire expression. Without realizing it, June changed direction. He turned away from table 7 and walked straight toward the kitchen pass. "Sir," Ethan Cole whispered urgently behind him. "Your table is." "I know where my table is," June said, without looking back. Naomi turned at the same moment he reached
sorry,
her.
I didn't see you.
They almost
It's
collided.
fine.
She
You have
stumbled
flour on your
slightly,
face.
surprise
Flour?
flashing across her face. June reached out on instinct and caught her elbow. The plates didn't wobble. Not even a little. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Naomi said quickly. Her voice was warm, easy, touched with something sunny. "I wasn't looking where I was going." Then she looked up. She stopped talking. June realized 2 things at once. First, that he was still holding her elbow. Second, that they were standing in the middle of Celestine's main dining room while dozens of wealthy guests pretended very hard not to stare. He didn't care. "You have flour on your face," he said. It was possibly the stupidest sentence he had ever spoken. Naomi blinked.
Oh
She
my God,
lifted
is
her
it worse?
hand and touched her
Yes.
cheek,
Great, perfect.
smearing
I
the
look like I lost a
flour
fight with a
even
cupcake.
more.
Suits you.
Then
That is
she
not
laughed
helpful,
again.
sir.
That same laugh. The one that had stopped him cold. "Hazard of sneaking samples from the pastry station," she said. "Please don't tell Chef Luke." "Your secret's safe," June said, surprising himself with how easily the words came. He smiled. A real smile. One he hadn't used in months. "I'm June." Naomi's expression shifted slightly. She straightened, professionalism slipping back into place like armor. "I know who you are," she said carefully. "Mr. Park. Your table is ready. Table 7. I can show you." "What's your name?" June asked. She hesitated. Her eyes flicked to table 7. Yena Huang was watching now, her expression unreadable. Naomi swallowed, then looked back at June. "Naomi," she said. "Naomi Carter. Do you work every Friday?" June asked. She frowned. "That's a weird question. Is it weirder than stopping a stranger in a restaurant because her laugh made me forget how to breathe?" Color rose to Naomi's cheeks. She tried and failed to hide a smile. "Maybe equally weird," she admitted. "I work Tuesday through Saturday. Lunch and dinner." "Good to know," June said. Behind them, a chair scraped loudly against marble. Yena stood. She picked up her luxury bag, adjusted the strap once, and walked out of Celestine without looking back. Her heels echoed across the floor, sharp and final. Ethan made a quiet choking sound. June didn't turn around. You just got stood up, Naomi observed. Looks like it, June said calmly. Guess I'll need a table for one. We're fully booked, Naomi said. Then she tilted her head slightly. Unless you want to sit at the bar. Perfect, June said. The bar at Celestine was designed for men who drank expensive scotch and complained about stock prices. June sat there anyway, on a velvet stool that probably cost more than Naomi's rent. I'll have the tasting menu, he told the bartender. All 12 courses. Naomi raised an eyebrow when she brought the first dish. You know you're creating extra work for yourself. You could have just asked for my number like a normal person, she added. Would you have given it to me? June asked. She thought for a moment. No. Then I made the right choice, he said. Course after course arrived. Between refilling water glasses and serving other tables, Naomi stopped by his bar seat. June asked small questions. Where she was from. What brought her to New York. How long she had worked at Celestine. She answered in pieces while she worked. San Diego. She had lived in San Diego for years, but she wasn't American. Her right to stay in the country had always come with an expiration date. 3 years in New York. Culinary school that didn't work out. Celestine was supposed to be temporary. Just until she saved enough money. For what? June asked. My bakery, Naomi said, and her voice changed. The kind that makes things that actually taste good. Peach cobbler like my grandmother made. Banana pudding that makes you cry. Sweet potato pie that tastes like home. June set down his fork. When do I get to try it? Naomi laughed softly. When I stop working 80 hours a week. So never. That's unacceptable, June said seriously. The world needs your banana pudding. The world will survive, she replied, but her eyes were warm. Time passed. The restaurant thinned. Guests paid checks and called cars. We close in 20 minutes, Naomi said finally. You'll have to leave eventually. What time do you get off? June asked. Midnight. And don't offer to wait. I take the subway home. Queens. And you live in? She gestured toward his suit. Tribeca, June admitted. Penthouse. Doorman. Everything you're imagining. Different worlds, Naomi said gently. June left a tip that made her eyes widen. That's too much. It's correct, he said. For making me laugh. For answering honestly. For not pretending to be impressed. She studied him. Walking past your date for me. That was either romantic or really rude. Can it be both? He asked. Naomi laughed again. That sound followed June all the way out of Celestine, and he didn't know yet that his life had already changed. June walked out of Celestine and into the Manhattan night like nothing had happened. But everything had happened. The cold air hit his face the moment the doors closed behind him. Taxis slid past in a blur of headlights and brake lights. The city sounded loud again. Horns, footsteps, distant sirens, the normal heartbeat of New York. For a second, he just stood there on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, staring at the street like he was trying to understand how one laugh could knock his whole life off balance. His phone vibrated. Again. And again. He didn't check it at first. He already knew who it was. June walked 3 blocks before he finally stopped under the glow of a streetlight and pulled his phone out. The screen was filled with missed calls and messages. His mother's name sat at the top like a warning. He exhaled slowly, then pressed call. She answered on the first ring. You humiliated Yenna, his mother said. No hello. No greeting. Just ice. You humiliated me. June closed his eyes briefly. Mom. She flew in from Seoul, his mother continued, voice tight and sharp. From Seoul, June. Her family is furious. Do you understand what you've done? She left before we even spoke, June said quietly. That's because you ignored her, his mother snapped. You walked right past her like she was invisible. June looked up at the tall buildings around him. Glass. Steel. Lights in windows like tiny boxes of other people's lives. He felt strangely calm. I didn't want to marry her, he said. Silence. Then his mother spoke again, colder than before. You were flirting with staff, she said, as if those words were the true crime. In front of everyone. I wasn't. I have video, his mother cut in. One of the guests sent it to me. You standing in the middle of Celestine holding some waitress's arm, smiling like an idiot. June's jaw tightened, not from shame, but from the familiar feeling of control tightening around his life. Her voice sharpened. Do you think this is funny? June swallowed. Her name is Naomi. His mother made a sound like disgust. I don't care if her name is Cleopatra. This is unacceptable. June stared at the street. A couple walked past holding hands. A delivery bike zipped by. Somewhere above him, a siren wailed. This is what we agreed, his mother continued. You meet suitable women. You choose one. You settle down. You stop embarrassing this family. I never agreed to that, June said. His voice didn't rise, but it grew steady. You decided that. Not me. There was another silence, heavy and cold. Then his mother spoke, as if she was placing a stamp on his future. Come to brunch tomorrow, she said. We need to discuss your future. I have work. Brunch, she repeated. Don't be late. The line went dead. June stood on the sidewalk with his phone still pressed to his ear for a moment, listening to nothing. Then he lowered it slowly. His mother always ended calls like that, like closing a door, like making sure you understood she was still holding the keys. June slipped the phone into his pocket and started walking again. He didn't go home right away. Instead, he stopped outside a quiet building entrance and pulled out his phone again. His fingers moved without hesitation, as if his body had already chosen what his mind was still trying to understand. He searched Celestine's reservation system. Table for one. Tuesday night. 7 p.m. The exact same time. When the confirmation came through, something loosened slightly in his chest. He wasn't sure what he was doing, but he knew one thing. He was going back. Across the city, Naomi Carter pushed open the door to her queen's apartment and stepped inside quietly. The place was small, warm, and lived in. Shoes by the door. A bag on a chair. A faint smell of hair products and detergent mixed together. It felt like real life, nothing like Celestine's shining world. Kiera Lewis was on the couch with a blanket around her legs and a bowl of cereal in her lap. She looked up the moment Naomi came in. You're late, Kiera said. Then she squinted at Naomi. And you look weird. Naomi dropped her apron on a chair and kicked off her shoes. I had the strangest night, Naomi said. Kiera sat up. That's a dangerous sentence. Tell me everything. Naomi hesitated for half a second, then let it spill out. About the arranged date at table 7. About the rich woman in the expensive dress. About June Park walking past her without stopping. About him turning toward the kitchen like he was pulled by a rope. She described the moment he almost collided with her. The way he caught her elbow. The way he looked at her as if the whole restaurant disappeared. And then, Naomi said, shaking her head, he said I had flour on my face. Kiera blinked. Flour. Flour, Naomi corrected. Or powdered sugar. I don't know. But he said it like it was important. Kiera stared at her for a long beat. Naomi. I know, Naomi said quickly. I know what this sounds like. Rich men don't fall for waitresses, Kiera said bluntly. They collect us like trophies and throw us away when they get bored. Naomi sank into the armchair across from the couch. Her body felt heavy now that she was off her feet. She rubbed her forehead. I didn't say he fell for me, she said. You're smiling, Kiera pointed out. Naomi stopped. Then she pressed her lips together, trying to hide it. I'm not stupid, Naomi said softly. I know how this city works. I know different doesn't mean safe. Kiera's expression softened slightly. Good, because I'm not watching you get hurt by some guy who thinks he's special. Naomi nodded, but her mind kept drifting back to the bar seat. To the way June looked at her, like he was actually listening. Like he cared about her answers. Like her dreams were not a joke. Later, when Naomi fell asleep, her tired brain replayed one moment again and again. Not his suit. Not his money. Not the fancy restaurant. Just June Park asking, with real focus, when do I get to try your banana pudding? As if it mattered. As if she mattered. Sunday came too quickly. June walked into his mother's penthouse and felt the familiar chill settle over him like a coat. The place was beautiful, but it didn't feel like a home. Everything was white. White walls, white furniture, white flowers in a glass vase. It looked like a museum made for rich people to prove they had nothing messy in their lives. The table was already set for brunch. Sora Park sat on one side, posture stiff, eyes quiet. Aunt Yumi sat beside her sipping tea with perfect manners. And at the head of the table sat June's mother, calm and in control, like a queen waiting for someone to kneel. You're late, she said. Traffic, June lied, taking his seat. His mother didn't even pretend to believe him. Let's discuss Friday, she said, because small talk was something she didn't waste time on. Yena's family is upset. I have apologized. I have sent gifts. But the damage is done. June didn't respond. His mother leaned forward slightly. Do you understand what you've cost us? I didn't want to marry her, June said simply. His mother's mouth tightened. Want? She said the word like it didn't belong at the table. This isn't about what you want, she continued. This is about legacy, about alliances, about keeping our position. Our position is fine, June said, calm but firm. Aunt Yumi cleared her throat gently. Marriage connections matter in our world, June. Maybe our world is wrong, June said. Sora shifted slightly beside him, tense, like she wanted to disappear. June's mother set her teacup down with careful precision. Who is she? She asked. June frowned. Who? The waitress, his mother said, eyes sharp. Naomi Carter. June's stomach tightened. His mother continued like she was reading a report. I had her investigated. Culinary school dropout. Works at Celestine. Her visa expires in 2 months. No family money. No connections. Nothing that benefits this family. Sora's eyes flicked to June's face. Aunt Yumi lowered her tea slightly. June didn't speak for a moment. Not because he didn't have words. Because he was trying to keep his anger quiet. You investigated her, he said. I protected my family, his mother corrected. So tell me, June, what do you see in her? June's voice came out lower than before. I see someone real, he said. Someone who laughs because she's actually happy, not because it's strategic. Someone who doesn't look at me and see an empire. His mother gave a small, cold smile. How touching. She saw me, June said, refusing to back down. Just me. His mother's eyes narrowed. And when her visa expires, what then? She disappears back to wherever she came from, and you stand here looking foolish. Before June could answer, his phone buzzed. His mother's gaze snapped to it immediately. Don't, she warned. But June was already looking. A message. Unknown number. This is Naomi. Chef Luke gave me your number. Hope that's okay. Just wanted to say thanks for last night. You made a really boring shift better. See you around, maybe. June stared at the words, and a smile spread across his face before he could stop it. His mother's voice cut through the air. You're texting her at brunch, she said, disgusted. Unbelievable. June stood up, chair scraping softly. I'm leaving, he said. June, Sora whispered, eyes pleading. But he was already walking away. As he reached the doorway, he typed back with quick, certain fingers. Definitely. How's Tuesday? And even before he got into the elevator, he knew one thing with perfect clarity. His mother had planned his future. But Naomi Carter had just stepped into it. June did not sleep much on Sunday. He sat on the couch in his Tribeca apartment with his laptop open, the city lights glowing through the tall windows behind him. His jacket was thrown over a chair. His shoes were still by the door. He had been meaning to shower, meaning to rest, meaning to think clearly. Instead, he searched. Visa extension, work permits, immigration timelines, temporary status, expiration dates. The more he read, the heavier his chest felt. It wasn't simple. Not at all. Without a sponsor, without a legal job offer, without marriage, time ran out quickly. Extensions were rare. Deadlines were strict. Paperwork moved slowly. Hope did not move fast enough. 2 months. That was all Naomi had. June leaned back and stared at the ceiling. He wasn't panicking yet, but something close to it sat quietly in his chest, like a clock ticking behind his ribs. By the time the sun came up, he had learned one clear thing. Money alone could not fix this. Tuesday arrived. At exactly 6:55 p.m., June stepped through the doors of Celestine. Not late. Not early. On time. Naomi noticed him immediately. She was near the service station, carrying menus, her hair pulled back, her face calm and focused. When she saw him, she slowed for half a second, surprise flashing across her eyes before she caught herself. You came back, she said when she reached him. I said I would, June replied. She studied him for a moment, then nodded slightly. People say a lot of things. I try not to, June said. Naomi gestured toward the dining room. Table for one? Unless, June said carefully, you'd like to join me after your shift. She froze. Then she shook her head. I don't date customers. That's fair, June said easily. Good policy. She raised an eyebrow. You're taking that well. I respect rules, he said. I just like asking questions. Naomi exhaled, amused despite herself. Your trouble. Is that a no? He asked. She hesitated, then said, ask me again at midnight. That's a maybe? June asked. That's the only answer you're getting, Naomi said, already turning away. June smiled as she walked off. He took his seat and ordered dinner. Then he waited. Time passed slowly. Course after course arrived. The restaurant filled, then thinned. Naomi moved between tables, professional and efficient, but every now and then, their eyes met. Each time, something quiet passed between them. At exactly midnight, Naomi clocked out. She disappeared into the staff area and returned a few minutes later in jeans and a soft sweater that had seen better days. Her hair was loose now, falling around her shoulders. She looked tired. And real. "Still here?" she asked. "I said I'd ask again," June replied. She studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "Fine." They stepped out into the night together. Manhattan felt different after midnight. Louder and quieter at the same time. The streets were still busy, but the edges were softer. The air was cool. The lights blurred. Naomi led the way. They walked without rushing, talking easily about nothing important. Street corners. Bad subway delays. The weird smell near one block that never went away. Then she stopped in front of a small diner with flickering lights and a faded sign. "This place?" June asked. "Trust me," Naomi said. Inside, the booths were cracked vinyl. The floor creaked. The coffee smelled burnt before it even reached the table. June loved it immediately. "This is perfect," he said. "This is real," Naomi corrected. They slid into a booth and ordered breakfast food, even though it was well past midnight. For a while, they just ate. Then the talking began. They talked about expectations. June spoke about growing up knowing his life was already planned. About being watched. About success that never felt earned because it was expected. About carrying a name that weighed more than his own thoughts. Naomi listened closely. She didn't interrupt. She didn't pretend to understand things she didn't. She just listened. Then she talked. About San Diego. About her grandmother's kitchen. About learning to bake before she could spell. About New York being harder than she imagined. About dreams shrinking quietly when rent came first. They talked about identity. About being seen for who you were instead of what you represented. About choosing between safety and risk. About how easy it was to feel small in a city that never stopped demanding more. The clock on the wall ticked past 2. Then 3. Finally, Naomi grew quiet. "There's something you should know," she said. June leaned forward. "Okay. My visa expires March 15th, she said. 2 months. The words landed heavily between them. June reached across the table without thinking and took her hand. "What if something changes?" he asked softly. "What if this changes things?" Naomi gently pulled her hand back. June felt it like a small loss. "June," she said carefully, "you're fascinated right now because I'm different. Because I'm not what you're used to. That's not. Your family will intervene," she continued. "Reality will show up. And I'll be the one left standing in the wreckage." "You don't know that," June said. Naomi shook her head. "I do." She met his eyes steadily. "Different worlds don't mix. Fairy tales aren't real." June wanted to argue. Wanted to promise things he didn't fully understand yet. But he didn't. He sat there, watching her, feeling the truth of something settled deep inside him. He had 8 weeks. 8 weeks to prove she was wrong. 8 weeks to show up. 8 weeks to fight something he had never fought before. And for the first time in his life, the challenge didn't feel like pressure. It felt like purpose. June Park started showing up. Not once. Not by accident. Not when it was convenient. He showed up every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday. Celestine began to recognize him before he even reached the door. The host smiled differently now. The waitstaff nodded. Someone always asked if he wanted the usual. The sommelier no longer asked questions, only brought what June liked and set it down with quiet confidence. The plates changed too. They came out a little warmer, a little more careful, sometimes with an extra garnish that wasn't on the menu. Not because June demanded it, but because everyone noticed he never rushed, never complained, never acted like he owned the place just because he could. And Naomi noticed. She noticed because he never asked for her section, never interrupted her work, never crossed the line. He simply existed in the room, watching, waiting, being patient in a way she wasn't used to. Then he started showing up outside Celestine. She first saw him at the Union Square Farmers Market early one Sunday morning. She was holding a small bag of peaches she couldn't really afford, standing near a honey stand and dreaming quietly. "Do you always stare at fruit like it owes you something?" a familiar voice asked. She turned and froze. "You're kidding," Naomi said. June smiled, hands in his jacket pockets. "Good morning." "You're following me," she said flatly. Yes, he replied without hesitation. She blinked. You admitted that way too easily. I didn't want to lie, he said. Is it working? Naomi stared at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. That depends. On what? June asked. On why you're doing it, she said. He didn't joke, didn't flirt, didn't deflect. My goal is time, he said simply, and proving I won't disappear. Naomi shook her head slowly. This is crazy. Probably, June agreed, but she didn't tell him to leave. The next time she saw him, it was in a small bookstore in Greenwich Village. She was standing in the cooking section, flipping through a worn pastry book she had no intention of buying. You dog your pages like a criminal, June said softly behind her. She jumped. Do you make a habit of sneaking up on people? Only bakers, he said. She laughed before she could stop herself. The third time was in Brooklyn, outside a bakery supply store with a narrow door and dusty windows. Naomi stood with her hands pressed against the glass, staring at mixers and molds like a kid looking into a toy shop. You look like Christmas came early, June said. She turned slowly. Okay, now it's officially suspicious. I'm committed, he said. Consistency matters. Naomi studied him, searching for something false. She didn't find it. That was when she started letting him in. Not all at once. Not easily. But little by little. She let him walk her home after late shifts, through quiet Queens streets where the city softened into something more human. He never touched her without permission. Never rushed her steps. Just stayed close enough to make her feel safe. She let him into her apartment one night, into the small kitchen she shared with Kiera. The counter was scratched. The oven ran hot. The space smelled like sugar and hope. I'm testing recipes, Naomi said. Don't expect perfection. I won't, June replied. I expect honesty. She baked while he sat at the tiny table, watching like the world had slowed down just for this. He tasted everything she offered. Lemon bars that made his eyes close. Red velvet cupcakes that stained his fingers. And then the honey lavender magic. He took one bite and went completely still. That, he said quietly, is incredible. Naomi smiled, soft and proud. It's still not right. It's more than right, June said. It's you. He didn't talk about himself that night. Didn't bring up work or money or expectations. He just listened as she explained ratios and textures and how baking felt like control in a life that didn't offer much of it. Later, she introduced him to Kiera. Kiera looked at June like he was a problem waiting to happen. She crossed her arms. So you're the rich guy. I am, June said calmly. Figures, Kiera replied. June didn't argue. He washed dishes without being asked. Laughed when Kiera teased him. Didn't bristle when she questioned his intentions. After he left, Kiera sat beside Naomi on the couch. He's not what I expected, Kiera admitted. I still don't trust it, Naomi said quietly. But he shows up, Kiera said. Naomi nodded. Every time. While June was showing up for Naomi, his mother was doing the opposite. She scheduled meetings during Naomi's free hours. She arranged charity events filled with women who fit her definition of suitable. She reminded June constantly of duty, legacy, responsibility. Then she confronted him directly. She walked into his office without knocking, her presence sharp and controlled. This ends now, she said. June looked up calmly. No. She's leaving anyway, his mother continued. Why waste time on something temporary? What if she doesn't leave? June asked. The question froze the room. His mother's eyes hardened. You're not thinking clearly. I am, June said. For the first time. She leaned closer. I know how this story ends. You don't, June replied. She flinched slightly, then recovered. I've made mistakes. I won't watch you repeat them. What mistakes? June asked. Her expression closed. That's none of your concern. But June saw it. Fear. And something else beneath it. Regret. When she left, June stayed at his desk longer than usual. Not because he was unsure, but because he understood something clearly now. Naomi wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid of the world he came from. So he kept doing the only thing that mattered. He showed up. Again. And again. And again. June Park stopped guessing and started searching for answers. Not online this time. Not in late-night articles that left him more anxious than informed. He wanted facts. Real options. Something solid he could hold on to. So he met an immigration lawyer in a quiet office with glass walls and no warmth. The lawyer spoke calmly, like this was just paperwork. Like a person's future could be placed inside a folder and stamped. June listened carefully. Naomi's visa could possibly be extended, the lawyer explained, but not through wishful thinking. Not through promises. Without sponsorship, without legal work authorization, time would keep shrinking. An extension could be difficult. A long-term solution would require something official. Then the lawyer said the words June had been circling around in his mind for days. Business sponsorship. A legitimate job offer could create a path. If Naomi had a real role, at a real business, with real documentation, there was a chance. Not a guarantee, but a chance. June felt his chest loosen slightly. He left the office with a plan in his head, moving quickly as if speed alone could beat time. He owned buildings. He funded projects. He could open anything if he wanted to. And he did want to. There was a cafe space in his renovated Tribeca building, one he had been planning to lease out. It had plumbing, storage, a clean layout, the kind of location people begged for. June decided it wouldn't be leased. It would be opened, and Naomi would be the pastry chef. It made perfect sense to him. It was clean, logical, professional. It would help her, and it would keep her in the country legally. It would protect her from the deadline he could hear ticking every time she tried to smile like she wasn't scared. When he brought it up, he expected relief. He expected gratitude. He did not expect Naomi to look at him like he had just insulted her. They were at the diner in Hell's Kitchen. Same booth. Same coffee. Same late-night lights buzzing overhead. Naomi had just finished a shift. June had been waiting, as usual, because he wanted the time. He leaned forward slightly, voice careful. "I met with an immigration lawyer," he said. Naomi's eyes narrowed. "Why?" "Because I'm trying to find a way," June replied. "A real way. Not a fantasy." Naomi's mouth tightened. "Okay, there's an option," June continued. "Business sponsorship. If you have a legitimate job offer, it could extend your visa." Naomi stared at him. "You mean a job from you?" "From my company," June corrected. "I'm opening a cafe in my Tribeca building. The space is already there. It's not made up. It needs a pastry chef. You're qualified." Naomi's face went blank. Not angry yet. Just flat. Then she shook her head once. "No." June blinked. "No. No," Naomi repeated, firmer. "Absolutely not." June stared at her like he had misheard. "Naomi," he said slowly, "it's legitimate. It's not charity. You'd be paid. It would be real work. Your work." "It's fake," Naomi snapped, voice low but sharp. "It's you creating a position to keep me in the country." "It would be a real cafe," June insisted. "It could become a real business. You could build something." "That's not the point," Naomi said. Her hands clenched around her coffee cup. "The point is I don't want to stay because a rich man decided to save me." "I'm not trying to save you," June said, frustrated now. "I'm trying to help. And I'm telling you no," Naomi replied. Her eyes shone with something stubborn and wounded. "Because it compromises who I am." June's jaw tightened. "It compromises your pride." "It's not pride," Naomi corrected. "It's my identity. I didn't come here to become someone's project." "You're not my project," June said. "You're." He stopped himself before he said too much. Naomi leaned back slightly, watching him. "So what?" she said softly. "You think you can just buy time?" "I think I can create an option," June said. "And I don't understand why you're pushing it away." Naomi's voice dropped. "Because it's not freedom if it comes with strings." "There are no strings," June said. Naomi laughed once, bitter. "June, your name is a string. Your world is a string. The moment I accept that job, I'm tied to you in a way I can't control." June felt the pressure rising in his chest. "What's your plan then?" he asked, and the desperation slipped out. "Let the visa expire? Go back. Walk away like none of this happened." Naomi's eyes flashed. "There is no us," she said. The words hit him so hard he forgot how to breathe. June stared at her. "What?" Naomi swallowed. Her voice shook slightly now, but she held her ground. "There is no us," she repeated. "There's you being fascinated because I'm different, and me being stupid enough to enjoy it." "That's not true," June said quickly. "Feelings aren't enough," Naomi cut in. "Not in your world. Not with your mother. Not with the life you live." June opened his mouth to argue. Naomi stood up. "I can't do this tonight," she said, eyes wet but steady. "I can't sit here and let you build a cage and call it help." "It's not a cage," June said, standing too. Naomi shook her head, backing away from the booth. "You don't get it." Then she turned and walked out of the diner. The bell above the door jingled once. And she was gone. June stood there frozen. The waitress came over with the check, but he didn't move. The diner kept going around him. People talked. Plates clinked. Coffee poured. Life continued. June sat back down slowly and stared at the empty seat across from him. He stayed there until the sky turned pale, until dawn leaked through the windows. Devastated didn't feel like a strong enough word. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was helplessness. The horrible feeling of seeing the cliff edge and realizing you couldn't stop someone you cared about from falling, even if you were willing to throw yourself down first. After that night, things changed. They still saw each other, because neither of them was strong enough to cut it clean. But the air between them shifted. The conversations were softer. The laughter didn't come as easily. Everything became measured. Every meeting felt like it had an invisible timer above it. Every goodbye felt heavier than the last. Naomi still let him walk her home sometimes, but she kept more distance now. She still spoke to him, but she didn't lean into him the way she had before. She still looked at him, but her eyes always carried a warning now, like she was trying not to hope too hard. And June kept feeling the same question echo inside him. If feelings weren't enough, what was? 2 weeks later, Sora Park cornered him in his office. She didn't sit down. She didn't smile. She closed the door behind her like she was locking them in a truth he couldn't avoid. "You love her," Sora said. June didn't answer immediately. Sora stepped closer. "Don't deny it." June exhaled. "It doesn't matter. She won't let me help her." "She's not refusing you because she doesn't care," Sora said quietly. "She's protecting herself." June looked up sharply. Sora's eyes were serious. "She knows Mom will destroy her. She knows this world will crush her. She's been surviving too long to pretend risk is romantic." June swallowed. "So what am I supposed to do?" he asked, voice rough. "Just let her go." Sora shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "Don't fight with money. Don't fight with job offers. Fight with truth." June frowned. Sora leaned in, her voice firm. "Tell her what she means to you. Not as a solution. Not as a plan. As truth. Give her a reason to choose you that isn't paperwork. And then let her choose." June sat still, feeling something painful and clear settle in his chest. The clock was tightening. 2 weeks left. And now he finally understood. Time wasn't his enemy. Fear was. June texted Naomi an address on a quiet afternoon. No explanation. No jokes. No meet me at Celestine, or let's talk at the diner. Just a location and one short message. "Please come. I need to show you something." Naomi stared at the text for a long time. Her first instinct was to ignore it. The last few weeks had been confusing. Too much emotion, too much pressure, too much counting down. Every time she started to relax, reality pulled her back. Every time she started to smile, fear whispered that she was being foolish. Still, her fingers moved before her mind could stop them. "What is this?" June replied quickly. "Brooklyn. Trust me." Naomi didn't trust easily, but she went anyway. The address led her to a quiet block in Brooklyn that didn't look like anything special at first. It wasn't a shiny street full of luxury stores. It was practical. Brick buildings. A few small businesses. A couple of people walking dogs. A delivery truck parked at the curb. Naomi stood on the sidewalk and checked the number again. This can't be right, she thought. Then she saw June. He was waiting outside the building, hands in his coat pockets, looking serious. Not tense. Not cold. Just focused. Naomi approached slowly. "Okay," she said, stopping a few steps away. "What's happening?" June gave her a small smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "You came." "I'm here," Naomi replied. "That doesn't mean I'm not suspicious." June nodded. "You should be." That answer didn't help. Naomi crossed her arms. "June, if this is another plan to fix my visa." "It's not," he said quickly. "Not like that." Naomi narrowed her eyes. "Then what is it?" June walked to the door and unlocked it. "Just come inside." Naomi hesitated, then followed him. The moment she stepped in, she froze. It wasn't an apartment. It wasn't an office. It was a bakery. Or at least, it was the bones of one, clean, wide, and full of possibility. The space was empty of people, but not empty of purpose. Industrial ovens lined one wall like quiet giants. Stainless steel tables stood in rows, spotless and waiting. Marble counters gleamed under bright ceiling lights. There were shelves for ingredients, storage rooms, and a sink area that looked brand new. The floor was smooth and clean, the air smelling faintly of fresh paint and new metal. Naomi turned slowly in place, eyes wide, heart thudding hard. "What is this?" she whispered. June watched her carefully. "It's yours, if you want it." Naomi shook her head once, like she was trying to clear a dream from her brain. "No," she said, voice tight. "No, it can't be." June stepped closer, but not too close. "It can." Naomi walked forward like she was afraid the floor might disappear. Her fingers brushed the marble counter. Cool. Solid. Real. She touched the edge again, slower, as if she needed proof. Then she moved to one of the ovens and ran her hand along the metal. She blinked fast, breathing unevenly. "June," she whispered, voice cracking. He swallowed. "I know you said you don't want charity. I heard you." Naomi turned to face him, eyes wet. "Then what is this?" "It's an investment," June said quietly. "Not a job. Not a favor. Not a cage." Naomi stared at him, trembling slightly. June continued, careful and steady. "You said your dream was a bakery. You said you wanted to make desserts with soul. You said you wanted something real." Naomi's tears started falling, silent and uncontrollable. June's voice softened. "I believe in that dream. I believe in you. And I wanted to give you a real start." Naomi pressed her hand over her mouth. She looked around the space again, like she was trying to understand how something this big could exist in the same world as her tiny kitchen in Queens. She walked deeper into the room, tears dripping onto the floor. She touched another counter, then another, as if each one might vanish if she didn't hold it long enough. "This is..." Naomi tried to speak, but the words collapsed. She shook her head hard. "This is too much." June took a slow breath. "It's not." Naomi turned quickly. "It is, June. It's too much. I can't accept this." June's eyes didn't flinch. "Yes, you can." "No," Naomi said, voice rising now, not angry but overwhelmed. "I can't. I won't. This is insane." June stepped forward, stopping a few feet away. "Naomi, listen to me." Naomi wiped at her face, smearing tears across her cheeks. "You don't understand what this feels like. I've been working myself into the ground just to survive. And now you're showing me this like it's nothing." "It's not nothing," June said firmly. "It's everything." Naomi laughed once, broken. "To you, maybe." "To you," June corrected. "This is you. This is your dream given space to breathe." Naomi shook her head repeatedly, like her body couldn't accept hope without fighting it. "I can't take this," she whispered. "It's too much from someone I've known for 2 months." June's voice went quieter. "Then let me say this clearly." Naomi stared at him, blinking through tears. "You gave me something," June said. "Hope. You gave me laughter. You gave me a kind of humanity I didn't realize I was starving for." Naomi's lips parted slightly. June continued, his words steady but full. "You looked at me like I was just a person. Not a last name. Not a company. Not a role. You made me feel alive. That matters more than anything I've built." Naomi's shoulders shook. "And this?" June gestured around them. "This is still not enough." Naomi breathed in sharply, like his words hurt because they were too close to truth. She turned away for a moment, staring at the ovens, at the counters, at the space that looked like possibility made real. Then she whispered, almost like a confession, "I'm falling for you." June didn't move. He just listened. Naomi turned back toward him, tears still falling. "And it terrifies me." June's eyes softened. "I already fell," he said quietly. Naomi blinked. June's voice dropped even lower, as if the space needed silence for the truth to land. "The moment you laughed." Naomi pressed her hand to her chest like her heart was trying to climb out. They stood there, surrounded by equipment and bright lights and the smell of new beginnings, staring at each other like they were holding something fragile. Something dangerous. Something real. Naomi wiped her face again, trying to breathe normally. "How much time do I have?" she asked suddenly, voice small. June's jaw tightened. 10 days, he said. The words hung between them like a clock. 10 days. And the bakery, this dream, this gift, this moment, felt both like a miracle and a goodbye. Naomi looked around one more time, touching the marble counter again, slower now, as if she was trying to memorize the feeling. Then she looked back at June, tears still shining in her eyes. And for the first time, she didn't look like someone preparing to run. She looked like someone trying to stay. The call came on a Wednesday morning. June was in his office, reading a report he barely cared about, when his assistant announced, "Your mother is downstairs." June didn't look up right away. He already knew what this was. His mother did not visit without a reason. "Send her up," he said. A few minutes later, She walked in with the same controlled posture she always carried, as if emotions were something she had trained herself to lock away. Her hair was perfect. Her coat looked expensive. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. She didn't sit. "I heard," she said. June's stomach tightened. "Heard what?" "Don't insult me," she replied sharply. "I heard about the bakery space." June stayed still. And you are going to stop," she said, voice steady as steel. June leaned back in his chair. "No." His mother's expression didn't change, but something dangerous flickered behind her eyes. "This is not a debate," she said. "There will be a family meeting. Tonight." "I'm not a child," June replied. "And yet you are making childish choices," she snapped. Then she turned and walked out as if the decision had already been made. That evening, June arrived at his mother's penthouse and felt the air shift the moment he stepped inside. The space was too quiet, too prepared, like someone had staged the room for a battle. Sora was there, sitting stiffly near the edge of the living room, hands clasped tightly in her lap. Her eyes met June's for a second, warning and worried. Aunt Yumi stood by the window, silent, as if she didn't want to be involved but couldn't escape. And two men in dark suits were seated at the far end of the room with leather briefcases on their laps. Lawyers. June stopped in the doorway. His mother stood at the center, as calm as a judge. "This," June said, glancing at the lawyers, "is dramatic." "This is necessary," his mother replied. One of the lawyers opened a folder, as if the room itself had turned into a courtroom. His mother looked at June without warmth. "You cannot gift commercial property to a woman you've known for 2 months. "I didn't ask for your permission," June said. "You don't need permission to destroy your life," she shot back. "But you do need to understand the consequences." June took a breath. "It's my property." His mother's lips tightened. "It is not just property. It's a symbol. It's a public statement. People will talk. The board will question your judgment. Investors will wonder if you've lost control." "I haven't," June said, voice low but firm. "I'm more clear than I've ever been." His mother's eyes narrowed. "Clear?" "Yes," June said. "I'm choosing what I believe in." His mother's voice grew colder. "What you believe in is irrelevant. This family exists because we make choices that protect our legacy." June's chest tightened. "You mean choices that protect your control?" The room went still. Sora shifted, eyes wide. Aunt Yumi's gaze dropped to the floor. His mother's face hardened. "You will end this." "No," June repeated. His mother held his stare. "Then I will invoke the clause." June froze. The words hit him like a slap, sharp and unexpected, even though he'd heard whispers of it before. "The clause," he echoed. His mother's voice was calm, but it carried weight. "The clause in your father's will. The one that allows control of Kim Industries to be transferred if you are declared unfit to lead with sound judgment." June felt the room tilt slightly. "You wouldn't," he said quietly. His mother lifted her chin. "Watch me." Sora stood up fast, the movement sudden and angry. "Mom, stop." His mother snapped her head toward Sora. "Stay out of this." "No," Sora said, voice shaking but strong. "This is too far." His mother's eyes flashed. "You do not speak in this meeting." Sora took a step forward anyway. "You're threatening to take his life away because he loves someone you don't approve of." June's mother's face went even colder. "Love is not the point." Sora's hands clenched. "It is the point." His mother pointed toward the door. "Sit down." Sora didn't. Instead, she looked at June, then back at their mother, and her voice dropped into something sharper and more painful. "I found the letters," Sora said. The room fell silent. Even the lawyers paused. June stared at his sister. "What letters?" Sora's eyes didn't leave their mother's face. "The ones you hid in storage. The letters from Miles Reed." June saw the change instantly. His mother's face drained of color. Not anger. Not control. Shock. For the first time, she looked like someone who had been caught with her heart exposed. "What did you say?" their mother whispered. Sora swallowed. "I found them last year. In the storage unit. Letters you never answered. Letters that stopped the year you married Dad." June felt like he couldn't breathe. His mother's hands trembled slightly before she forced them still. She turned away toward the window for a second, as if she needed distance from the truth. "That is none of your concern," she said softly, but her voice lacked its usual sharpness. "It's exactly our concern," Sora said. "Because you're doing to June what your parents did to you." June's eyes widened. "Sora." But it was too late. The truth was already moving. His mother turned slowly, her eyes glossy now, like tears were fighting against decades of training. "Stop," she whispered. Sora didn't stop. "You couldn't have your happiness," Sora said, voice trembling. "So you're trying to make sure he can't have his either." Their mother sat down slowly, as if her body suddenly couldn't hold itself upright. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, in a voice June had never heard from her, his mother said, "He was a musician." June stared at her. "Miles," she continued, staring at nothing. "He played jazz piano. I met him while I was studying. I was young and stupid and happy." Sora softened slightly, but she didn't interrupt. "My parents found out," their mother said. "They told me if I continued seeing him, they would cut me off completely. No money, no family, no support. I was 22. Her voice cracked. I was terrified. June felt his chest tighten in a different way now. "And I chose security," she whispered. "I chose what they wanted. I married your father because he was appropriate, because it was safe." June's throat burned. "Did you love Dad?" His mother blinked hard. "I learned to. He was a good man. We built a good life." She swallowed. "But not a day has passed when I haven't wondered what if." The words landed heavy. "Every day," she said quietly. "For 25 years. June stood still, staring at the woman who had always seemed unbreakable. Then his voice came out low and steady. "Then why are you forcing me to do the same thing?" His mother looked up at him, tears spilling now uncontrolled. "Because I know how this ends," she whispered. "I know our world crushes people who don't fit. She'll leave you. When the pressure becomes too much, she'll leave, and you will be destroyed." June swallowed hard. "Maybe," he said. His mother shook her head. "You're risking everything." "Yes," June replied. "Because I'd rather try and fail than spend my life wondering what if." The room went silent again. Sora's eyes were wet. Even Aunt Yumi looked shaken. June's mother pressed her hand to her mouth, crying quietly, as if she hated every tear. June stood there, heart pounding, and for the first time he understood. This wasn't only about Naomi. It was about fear. It was about regret. And it was about a choice his mother had made long ago that had eaten her alive ever since. June exhaled slowly. "There are 7 days left," he said quietly. The countdown hung in the air like a clock. 7 days. And nothing in that room felt stable anymore. June went to the bakery space early that morning. The room was quiet, bright with sunlight spilling through the front windows. The ovens were cold. The counters were clean. Everything looked exactly the same as the last time Naomi had stood there crying, touching the marble like it might disappear. He waited. When Naomi arrived, she knew immediately something was wrong. She could see it in his face. "What happened?" she asked, dropping her bag onto a chair. June didn't waste time. "My mother found out about the bakery." Naomi's chest tightened. "And she threatened to take my position," he said simply. "She told me to end this. To walk away from you." Naomi's breath caught. "June, you can't do this. You can't give up your life for me." "I didn't," June said calmly. "I chose it." Naomi shook her head, panic rising fast. "That's the same thing." "No," he said. "I'm choosing who I want to be. My family will adjust. Or they won't. But I won't walk away from you unless you tell me to." Naomi stared at him, tears already forming. "You don't understand what you're risking." "I do," June replied. "And I still choose you." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small box. Naomi froze. "This isn't," she started. "Just open it," June said. Inside was a key. Naomi stared at it, confused. "What is this?" "The bakery," June said. "Full ownership. Transferred to your name this morning." Her hands shook as she held the box. "No, I can't accept this." "You already have," June said gently. "The paperwork is done. It's yours, whether we work out or not, whether you stay or go. This is your dream." Naomi's tears fell freely now. "This is too much." "It's not enough," June said. "Not for what you gave me." She looked up at him, eyes wide. "You gave me hope," he continued. "You reminded me what it feels like to laugh without strategy, to want something real, to feel human." Naomi whispered, "My visa expires in 7 days." "I know," June said. "And unless you marry me, you'll have to leave." Her head snapped up. "This isn't a trap," he said quickly. "I love you. I'd ask you even if visas didn't exist. But I won't pretend this isn't also a solution." Naomi sobbed softly. "You don't need to save me." "I'm not trying to save you," June said. "I'm trying to love you." She shook her head, overwhelmed. "Your mother will never accept this." "Maybe not," June said. "But Sora will. And maybe one day my mother will too. Naomi took a shaky breath. Then she looked at him through tears. Ask me properly, she said. June dropped to one knee on the clean bakery floor. The space echoed with silence. Naomi Carter, he said, voice steady but full. Will you marry me? Will you take this chance with me? Will you let me spend my life trying to deserve you? Naomi laughed through tears. Yes, she said. Yes, you absolute fool. Yes. They kissed in the middle of an empty bakery that smelled like possibility. They were married 3 days later. City Hall. No crowd. No performance. Sora stood beside them as a witness, eyes shining. Kiera cried openly, not even pretending to hold it together. June wore the same suit he'd worn the night he met Naomi. Naomi wore a simple white dress she found in a vintage shop for $60. She had never felt more beautiful. They didn't prepare vows. June spoke first. I promise to show up every day, he said. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I promise to build a life that fits both of us. Naomi smiled through tears. I promise to trust this, she said. I promise to keep laughing. And I promise to make you banana pudding whenever you're sad. They signed the papers. Exchanged simple gold bands. Kissed like the world was ending and beginning all at once. June's mother found out through a lawyer notification. She called him again and again. He answered later that night. You married her, she said. Yes, June replied. Silence. I need time, his mother finally said. Take it, June said. We'll be here. 2 months later, Naomi opened her bakery. She called it Sweet and Soul. The line wrapped around the block on opening day. Critics came. They praised the food. The honey lavender cake became famous. The banana pudding made people cry. The business grew fast. Naomi hired staff. Started wholesale orders. Held baking classes for neighborhood kids who reminded her of herself. June kept leading Kim Industries. His mother stopped interfering. She stayed distant, but she didn't attack anymore. Sora became Naomi's closest ally. 6 months after the wedding, Naomi woke up on a Sunday morning to sunlight and June watching her quietly. What? She asked. Just thinking, he said. About how I walked past a perfect plan and found you instead. No regrets, she asked. Not even one. They spent the day doing ordinary things. Breakfast in bed. A walk through Prospect Park. Flowers from a street vendor. Dinner at the diner where everything had changed. That night, June's phone rang. His mother. I'd like to meet her, she said. Properly. As your wife. Sunday dinner was tense at first. His mother arrived dressed perfectly. She studied their warm, mismatched home carefully. Naomi met her gaze calmly. I know what you think, Naomi said. That I used him. That I wanted his money or his name. But I fell in love with a man who showed up and cared about my dreams. Something shifted. Over dessert, Naomi served honey lavender cake. June's mother took one bite and closed her eyes. My grandmother made something like this, she whispered. I can teach you, Naomi said. His mother nodded. I'd like that. 1 year later, Sweet and Soul opened a second location. At the anniversary party, Kiera raised a glass. I was wrong, she said proudly. June's mother attended. She stayed. She smiled. Late that night, Naomi and June cleaned up their kitchen together. I'm glad you stopped, Naomi said softly. Walking toward you, June corrected. Everything else had been details. Later, alone in her quiet house, June's mother opened a box of old letters. Miles Reed's handwriting stared back at her. And for the first time in 25 years, she wondered if maybe it wasn't too late. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.